Hey everybody, this is Bryan Hogue. Welcome to Chiller Night Live, where from 8 p.m. Eastern Time until 9 o'clock, we'll sit and chat for a whole hour about all things horror, science fiction, paranormal. You name the topic, we'll make a show out of it. So Bonehead says hello. Hey Bonehead, thanks for joining us. Stephanie says, hey y'all. Hey Stephanie, thanks for joining us. The topic last week was favorite werewolf movies, so at the end of the show I said, well, let's just throw Frankenstein movies as our topic for tonight. So that's what we're going to do. PBR Street Gang, give me some little wave emojis so I will return the wave. Thank you for joining us. Renee says, there's Renee, we missed you. Okay, buckle up, greetings and salutations. It's now time for Chiller Night Live Terror Taco Tuesday with Mastermind creator of the Zombie Apocalypse Escape Room host, Bryan Hogue / Jack Shadow. Pump it up, woo woo. All right. Thank you, Renee. Thank you for joining us. Holy cow. We always love your stellar intros there right out the gate. So glad you could join us again this week. Or we missed you there last week. I think it was last week. Richard says, I'm here. Hey, Richard. Thanks for joining us. Bonehead says, howdy to the Chiller Night crew and Bryan. Well, thank you. Thank you. Howdy to you as well. Richard says, Young Frankenstein. Oh, good one. Good one. Bryan says, hello, everyone. Hey, Bryan. Thanks for joining us. D. Dittman says, hello, everyone. Hey, D, thanks for joining us. Bonehead says, Bride of Frankenstein gets my vote as the best Frankie movie. I can't dispute that at all. Richard says, Young Frankenstein. Oh, okay, he didn't finish the typing. I read it as Frankenstein, and I knew what you meant. Pittsburgh Gold Order says, hey, Bryan, are you coming to Horror Realm Con next month? I, unfortunately, will not be able to make that. I'm really, really working hard on trying to get the Witching Hour escape room open. I want that to be done and ready to go by the end of March, as well as the Chiller Night Escape Experience gift store. I just have to finish my retail certificates, certifications. So unfortunately, that doesn't leave me time to do that. I'm sure I've been to those before. I'm sure that would be a good time. They usually are. Renee says, have an awesome live. Feeling lousy. Oh no, called in sick for a couple or 3 days. Oh, I totally understand that. I was like that last month. It hit me really hard for about 10 days. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I had to miss one of these Tuesday nights because of it. So, Richard says, the original Frankenstein will never be replaced. That was such a great movie. Renee says, that post to work. Well, we hope you get to feeling better. Speedy recovery to you, Renee. Speaking of feeling better, I talked to Paul earlier today. And, or no, it was last night, and then he texted me today. I guess he is, well, not I guess, he's in the hospital, and he was concerned that he was going to have some surgery. So he's in there right now, and something to do with his hip, something about I don't know, something to do with the bone in his hip that got pulled away or something. So we wish Paul a speedy recovery. If you're able to join us this hour, if he does, that'd be cool. If you're watching this at a later time, Paul, we miss you tonight, and hope you get better. Bonehead says, Young Frankenstein is hilarious. I love that movie. Gene Wilder is fantastic. Everybody is, actually. But Gene really, really makes it. Stephanie says, any Frankenstein movie made by Universal Studios and Young Frankenstein are my favorite Frankenstein movies. Does that include Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein? Just curious. Just curious. I have to ask. Because even though it's, kind of a hokey movie, but it is Universal, and it has Bela Lugosi as Dracula. It has Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. And it has Glenn Strange coming back to reprise his role as the Frankenstein monster. Glenn Strange, of course, was Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster in, you got the House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. So But yeah, there was something fun about those movies, isn't it? PBR says The Mummy versus Frankenstein. The Mummy versus Frankenstein. I'm not sure if I've seen that. As crazy as that sounds. Renee says eating barbecue corn chips and smoking weed to brighten my spirits. All right. Well, enjoy those corn chips and your weed. Hey, whatever helps you feel better. Well, within reason, I suppose. Richard says website sales available? Not at this time. That will be after the physical store is actually up and running, and after I figure and kind of juggle everything and figure everything out. But I would like to get website tickets, like online ticketing, available for the escape rooms, and I'd like to have that up and running and fully functional by for Halloween, for the haunted house. Bonet says, you have impeccable taste, Miss Stephanie Press. Those are my views as well. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Universal. And the Hammer? Anybody like the Hammer movies? I immediately thought of Christopher Lee as in the first one, but there were numerous Hammer horror movies. Of course, most of them with, I say most because I think there was one without Peter Cushing as Dr. Frankenstein. But you had Frankenstein monster played by, in one of them, David, I think the Frankenstein and the Beast from Hell or something like that. I'm drawing a blank here, and I should know these titles because I love those movies in general. David Prowse, of course, played Darth Vader, and then Peter Cushing played Grand Moff Tarkin, so that's pretty cool. Stephanie says, sending prayers for Paul. I'm sure he would appreciate that very much. I'm sure he does. So Al says, hi everyone. Hey, Frankenstein night. Yes, it is. Al, thanks for joining us. Brian says, my pick is a Roger Corman film made in 1990 called Frankenstein Unbound with William Hurt. And Raul Julia played Dr. Frankenstein. You know, I don't think I pronounced that right, but I know the actor you're talking about. Raul Julia, I think I do. Is that the one? Well, maybe I don't. For some reason I'm thinking of the actor who played on the Addams Family remake as Gomez. Let's see. Oh, it'll probably take me too long to look that up, but that's cool. That's a different one. That's a different one. Bonin says, welcome back home, Miss Renee Cruz, and hope you're feeling better. Get you some of those gummies. They'll brighten your mood for sure. Renee says, oh, good, Brian. You talked to him. Hope he will have a Godspeedy recovery, Paul. Yes, he was in good spirits there last night. Daniel said, evening, Brian. Hey, Daniel, thanks for joining us. PBR says, do you know why the horse constantly screams in the background in Young Frankenstein? I don't. I haven't seen that movie since about 2006, so I don't remember that specifically. But I do remember Dr. Frankenstein's speech, before he brings life into the monster from that fateful day when stinking bits of slime first crawled from the sea and shouted to the stars, I am man. Just so over the top dramatic, I just love that. Stephanie says, yep, including Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. A true Universal horror Frankenstein fan at that. Richard says, Universal monsters were the best, but very scary. I used to love watching those. And I could watch them on Chiller Theater when I was growing up as a kid. And I'll be bringing up a lot of stuff from my childhood, just nostalgic stuff throughout the night as well. With Frankenstein, Renee says, what is up with the late ass YT ping notification alert? I don't know what that is. I don't know. I'm not aware of what that is or where that alert is being displayed. John says, if it's snowing where you live, you can always sit down with a hot chocolate and enjoy your favorite Tuesday show. This is Crozak the Grand, and it's time again for Chilla Night Live. And now, here's your host, Bryan Hogue. Well, thank you, Crozak the Grand and John. Very much appreciate it. Yes, it is. It's snowing a little bit today. Very cold, though. Supposed to get some more snow this week. Last week was very nice. I'm not complaining. We're having a pretty good winter. I cannot complain. Bunny says, well, Miss Renee, that's better than smoking barbecue and eating weed. Brownies. Well, maybe not, huh? Okay. Makes you think. Al says, I grew up on Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Daniel says, Gemma said hello. Gemma, right? That's why you wrote that, probably. That's why she said hello. She wanted to see if I was going to mispronounce her name, and I did, because I'm just reading it. That's how. All right, so tell her I said hello. Tell her I'm sorry I got her name wrong there for a few seconds. Stephanie says, oh, I forgot about the Hammer movies. Yeah, good stuff. Renee says, Count Dooku, yes. I know, what a team, you know. I mean, too bad they couldn't have been in a Star Wars movie together. You know, Christopher Lee as Count Dooku and Grand Moff Tarkin. That would have been cool. All right, so Gomez Adams. He played Gomez Adams. Okay, I did get that. All right, I was thinking of the right. Oh, and Bonet says, yes, Brian, you did pronounce his name correctly. Oh, well, that's better than what I did with Gemma. Well, I mispronounced 50% of the names on this show, so I'm glad I got that one right. Bonet says, roll, Julia. See, I probably did fine the first time when I wasn't thinking about it. R.I.P. did play Gomez in the new Addams Family. Aha. That's weird. I'm glad I remembered that. Some of the strange information that I have in my head. Al says, hey, anyone ever see the movie I, Frankenstein? No, but I know which one you're talking about. I've not seen it, but I've seen it as I've been scrolling for movies to watch. John Wayne. Hey, SBC, still John Wayne. Hello, everyone. I'm a little late. Today was Carnival in Germany. Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense. It would be Carnival in Brazil also. Interesting. So, when's Mardi Gras? When's Mardi Gras up here in the in our neck of the woods? Well, not even my neck of the woods, but Bonet says, oops, I'm hogging the conversation. Sorry, people. No. Nope. You got it. Daniel says, LOL. All right. You tell her I said hello. Renee says, yeah, Al was late because it pinged at exactly 5:01 and everybody was already here. Oh, okay. Daniel says, she watched you mispronounce her name. Oh! Well, I'll get it next time. Try me again next week. All right. Let's see. Reading. Renee says, I like Christia Ricci. Am I pronouncing that right? I know who you're talking about. The girl played on Sleepy Hollow. I know she played on Sleepy Hollow. Bonet says, I ain't touching that one, Brian. What? Oh, what? Heck, I missed some. D says, what about Herman Munster? I love Fred Gwynn. That's right. Holy cow. Bonet says, wow, I meant the older, newer Addams Family movies from the 90s, I think. Yeah, they made several, haven't they? What topic do we have today? John Wayne says, we are talking about Frankenstein. Boop. There you go. So, remember those books? I put up one of the Wolfman. Oh, it said the Wolfman, but it had a picture of Henry Hall's Wolfman from Werewolf of London from 1935, I believe. Last week when I put the old, remember where the Crest House books or something? I just remember these from when I was a kid. I actually have one. It's of Dracula, though. I'll pop that up. Maybe next week we'll do Dracula. But we have Frankenstein today. Renee says, Wednesday Addams. Oh, she played Wednesday Addams also. Okay. See, I didn't even see that movie. I didn't see it. The Pittsburgh Ghoul Order says, ever see the silent short film version of Frankenstein? Yes, that was actually, we played that on a live version of Children's Night Theater. At the very end, we played a feature movie, and then, as a bonus, Jack Shadow played the silent Frankenstein. Are you talking about the Thomas Edison one? I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly, but bonus says that I Frankenstein is the one with Kenneth Branagh, or am I getting confused with De Niro Frankie movie? Probably De Niro. I Frankenstein has that guy who played Two-Face in the Batman movie with Christian Bale. Kenneth Branagh did play Dr. Frankenstein, and also directed, I believe he directed that movie as well. The Mary Shelley's Frankenstein that starred Robert De Niro as the monster. Renee says, Ash Wednesday tomorrow. Ash Wednesday tomorrow. Oh. Renee says, Patrick Birch, Lidsville, Sid and Marty Croft, and Little Dracula Boy on Munsters. Little Dracula Boy. Eddie Munster? Trying to think of his name. Is it Butch Patrick? Right? Hey, I always saw. Remember speaking of the Munsters. Remember the car on there? Not the family car, but the drag car that they had on there. The drag. Was it a Dracula car or something like that? Well, but I don't know. I'm having a heck of a time remembering names of things tonight and people and movies and actors. But I'm shooting from the hip a lot here, folks, so, bear with me. But that car, I have a picture of Jack Shadow with that car, with the actual car from the show when I did the Midnight Monster Party in Pittsburgh. They had that car there, so I got my picture taken with that. I wish I would have... I didn't even think about putting that stuff up there. That would have been cool to put that on there. Bonus says, I can't see John Wayne on the live chat feed. Now, what's up with YouTube? I don't know. Maybe you'll see him as SBC. I don't know. It's coming across here as John Wayne. I love that. Bonus says, Jenna Ortega is a fine-looking woman, or fine-looking young Wednesday Addams. She looks good, whatever she plays. Very beautiful young woman. Okay. I was thinking, where did I see? Yeah, I've not seen any of those either. So I'm not. I'm aware of what you're talking about, but I haven't seen those shows. John says Frankenstein isn't that scary. It's his monster that I wouldn't want to encounter unarmed. Yes, unarmed, like in Son of Frankenstein. Remember the inspector who had his arm ripped off by the monster? Let's see, Renee says, Wednesday Addams is Christina Ricci debut role. Oh, she was just a little... I didn't know that. The bonus is Dragula, Brian. All right. I thought it was something like that. Butch Patrick, Renee says, dyslexic I am. Stephanie says, I think the Munster car you're talking about is now in a car museum. Oh, the big, like the family car, or the regular car, or the or the drag car, because that was the one I saw. I saw that one and that was back in 2019. So, but I don't know. Maybe you're talking about that one. Bonus says, I just lost a live chat feed. I'm not able to see anyone else in the comments. Oh no! What the heck? Well, maybe we said something that YouTube didn't approve of. You know, the Dragula Rob Zombie wrote a song about it. Oh, is that right? The Pittsburgh Order said. Richard says, what actor would you cast as Frankenstein? Right now, modern actors only. All right. Now that's narrowing it down. All right. There's a good one. What actor would you cast as Frankenstein right now? Modern actors. You know who I would cast right now is the guy. Now this is kind of an obscure one, but he has the right height and the right facial, the kind of that thin, elongated look. The guy who played the Swede on Hell on Wheels. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show or are aware of it back on when it was on AMC. Let's see. He's very tall, he has like 100% the look. Sean something or other. PBR says, Frankenstein, the Showtime series was good. It had the actor that played Boromir in Lord of the Rings. Okay, I'm not familiar with those names, those characters, but okay. Let me scroll down here. Oh, Dale says, sorry I'm late. Had a hard time getting on. Hey, Dale, I have your Facebook group as a mention here, and we'll mention that. I was wondering if you were going to show up here. Okay, the guy, it was asked what? Richard asked, what actor would you cast as Frankenstein right now? Modern actors only. My pick would be Christopher Heralda. And I don't know if I know, now speaking of butchering names, I don't know this guy's last name. Heyerdahl. Let me see if I can get a picture without too much glare. That's actually like a normal picture of him, but when he's done up as various characters, oh man, that guy would definitely make a good one. Let me scroll down here. Sorry if I'm missing anybody's. Stephanie says, I think both of the Munster cars. Oh, they're both in the museum here, huh? Okay, now Dale has started up a Facebook group page. So it is a 80s group page called Nasty 80s Group Page. And it specializes in the 80s. So remember, remember when Dale was running the watch parties on the Chiller Night Facebook group page? He was doing a lot of the 80s stuff, and so I joined the group today. I was just made aware of the group today. I think I'm taking it that it's kind of a new group. Let me see if I thought I would see the invitation to it so that I could is that the yeah 80 nasty 80s? Wait a minute, let me go back here. Nasty 80s. All right, so check it out. If you're on Facebook, check it out. Wait a minute. I just saw somebody asking a question. D. Dittman asks, why isn't it showing up on here? Or is it? Maybe it is. I'm that far behind. Is this the Munster vehicle you're talking about? Yeah, that's it, D. Right here. That's it. I'm trying not to get glares or gun cases and cabinets and all that. Um, yeah, that's the one. That looks like it. So, yeah, that's it. But I have pictures of me, well, Jack Shadow, with that vehicle. Renee says, so Bryan Hogue, as a diehard faithful horror fan, you have to watch the new Addams Family movie. I see. Well, I might have to do that. Richard says, Rob Zombie should create a Frankenstein movies. A Frankenstein movie. You never know. He probably will. And then he will have his wife playing the bride of Frankenstein, which, you know what? I a lot of people comment on that. But, if I were him, if I were a director, I'd be doing the same thing, She's in all of his movies, and I don't blame him. John Wayne says, I like these old hot rods. Unfortunately, such conversations are not legal for road traffic here in Germany. Old cars, I mean, not the drag cars, but one of my favorites is the classic 57 Chevy Bel Air two-door. So I would love someday to have one. So if anyone's wondering what to get me for Valentine's Day tomorrow, or even I'll even wait till August and put it out, just throw it out there for my birthday. All right, that's it. Dr. Frankenstein or as John Wayne says, as Dr. Frankenstein or as Frankenstein's monster. No, I meant that guy, the one I said, as the monster. The doctor, I hadn't thought about that. D says, FYI, posted a pic of Dracula on the Chiller Night Facebook feed. Yep, okay. I must be behind here a little bit. I usually am because there's a little bit of a delay. Bonehead says, hey, John Wayne, SBC. I can see everyone in the live chat feed. That's weird. Renee says, uh-oh, MIBs and Gremlins meeting with YT reception, Bonehead. Dale says, a lot of nasty stuff came out of the 80s. Yeah. What was that one by Peter Jackson that you played? That was... It had one of the grossest scenes in it. Remember the old one back from like the 80s or maybe early 90s. I think it was the late 80s. Bonin says, maybe little buddy Renee, perhaps I don't put nothing past no one nowadays. Brian says, Rob Zombie made a monster movie. Oh, that's right. Pittsburgh Goal Order says, how about the classic 58 Plymouth Fury? An original self-driving car, LOL. Interesting. My heart is with the 57 Chevy Bel Air. I've loved that car since I was a little kid. I had a model kit of it when I was a kid, and I didn't know it was such a classic car at the time. I just loved it and thought it looked cool, and always loved that car. But it says, Brian, that's my dream car too. Can't beat a 57 Bel Air two-tone coupe. Yep, gotta be the coupe. Stephanie says, Valentine's. Many hearts. Stephanie says, so how was the Super Bowl? To be honest, I only watched Puppy Bowl. What am I in? Renee says missing? Sorry, Renee, I missed what you're referring to. Dead Alive? No, I don't think that was it. Not that one. John Wayne says that Bonehead, 'tis maybe the part of the problem which shows me as John Wayne. Maybe so. Renee says, Nomad 57 Chevy Fast. I had a Tyco. D says, the Munster remake by Rob Zombie was terrible. it was it was a hard one to watch. I don't know. Did the kids like it? I wonder. Was it just a kids movie? I don't know. I watched that one, and it was almost like it wasn't as bad as watching the Star Wars Holiday Special, but it was pretty dry. Racing toy. Oh, at Tyco. Oh, okay. A racing toy, the Nomad 57 Chevy Tyco. All right. Um, Speaking of toys, I was going to put up a couple of these we were talking about Frankenstein. Now, I was talking about this. I just mentioned the Ben Cooper Halloween costume. I think that's the Ben Cooper brand. Let me see. Is it? I don't know. But a lot of these, when you're a little kid, they had like that. That's got to be like that Glenn Strange look. Do I have any of these with Glenn Strange? House of Frankenstein? Yeah. See that? He's got that, yeah, just that creepy, creepy look. The Glenn Strange look. Let's see. Well, also, the Bendhams. I had these when I was a kid. I had all these monsters when I was a kid. The Frankenstein, Dracula, the King Kong. I don't know. I've just always loved the monsters. And also, I even have, remember the Jigglers, the little rubber monsters? I actually bought one off of eBay. You can't see his face. It's transparent because something to do with green. I'm going to give my secrets away. But yeah, I saw that available. These are from like 72. So when I saw this on eBay, I had to have it. Just like last week, I was talking about the Lone Ranger, Tonto, and their horses, Silver and Scout. Saw them on eBay in excellent condition. Had to buy them up. So I see stuff like that, I gotta have it. Bad Taste. That's it. Pittsburgh Gold Order wrote Bad Taste. Was that it? That was it. That was it. Renee says, "Whoa, wow, for awesome Frankenstein T-shirt." Ah, thank you. I'm dressed for the occasion here tonight. Pittsburgh Gold Order says the Plymouth Fury reference was a Christine reference. Oh, okay. That went right over my head. I was locked on the Frankenstein and the Chevy Bel Air. So I missed that one. Renee says he can't direct. Oh, Rob Zombie movie sucks, she says. Yeah, I'm not impressed with them either. I mean, I know some people like them, but I think the probably the House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects might have been, like at that time, that was kind of a bit of an edgy movie at that time. They were coming out with all kinds of that, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and back when it was kind of a new thing. Kind of these edgy monster movies that were starting to make a remake or a comeback, of some type back in like the early to mid 2000s. And at that time, maybe a lot of people had a different opinion about his movies at that point, but then I don't know. I went to the movies, Ava and I, to see Halloween, his version of Halloween. My opinion was I didn't care for it, but a lot of people did like it. So, Renee says, "Oh, neat. Glenn Strange look rad." Yeah, he had of course, Boris was, hey, that's my guy. That's the Frankenstein, the Rolls Royce of Frankenstein monsters is Boris Karloff. But the creepiest one, in my opinion, is the Glenn Strange look. I don't know. When I was a kid, that was always I don't know. There's something just disturbing about that. That looked like a monster to me. That looked like a monster. Looks sad or angry or something or both. I don't know. He just doesn't look very reasonable. Al says, "Oh man, I had that Frankenstein mask as a kid." Yeah, yeah, you saw those, man. They were like so many kids had that stuff. John Wayne says, "Classic cars are the best, but as John Wayne, I have to say horses are cheaper at the gas station. They just need some grass and water." Yeah, I Ava and I we were looking at some property last year, and it wasn't that far from here, but it had a lot of land on it, and it had stables already on the property. It was a big agricultural area, like farming and stuff. Tons of land. I mean, man, it was just so nice. And if we would have got that, I definitely would have got a couple horses. Now, the thing I didn't like about it, it was a shared lane. A shared lane. As far, like that was the only, that was a one lane, like shared lane down this whole road, and you had about 4 different houses before you, and then that one was at the very end. And I was like, oh man, I am not ever getting something like that, because I've seen too many civil disputes, over shared lanes and shared driveways. Nope. Renee says, "Oh, neato jigglers, yeah, I used to love those when I was a kid. Those in the, like I said, those in the Bendums. I had all those." Renee says, 1972, they're worth millions. Yeah, and these were, I think this is a Ben Cooper product. Is it? I don't know. I won't take too much time looking at it, but yeah, I wonder if that shows any green. No, I don't think so. All right. Fun things with light. All right. But yeah. Bonin says, "I just lost all the live chat messages again. Everything just went black, and I'm only seeing my messages. I don't know what's going on. Sorry for complaining." I'm sorry. I wish I could help you. I don't know what to say there. Yeah, Renee says, "So sorry, Bonehead. Terrible reception in your country." In our country? And Renee says, "Glenn Strange, I love it too. LOL. Face purple, crying, face green, smiling." And John Wayne says, "As Frankenstein's monster, I recommend Daniel Craig. He would fit the role perfectly with the right makeup." Interesting. I would have never thought of Daniel Craig. Interesting. Bonehead says, "Well, Brian, thanks for reading all the messages out. At least I can follow the conversation that way." Renee says, Bendhams, I remember those. Those are back during that time. And what else? Oh, there's like those little Mego knockoffs that they had. Was it Romco or something? I don't know what it was, but they had all the monsters, and they were fully articulate. It's funny, they were so cheaply made. When I get them out of the box as a kid, you went to move the arm and it like broke. It just popped off. They were built so badly, but when you were a kid, that was like, those were so awesome. Stephanie says, "Sorry, I meant how was the Super Bowl?" I don't know. I wasn't in. I haven't watched the NFL for. I mean, we had a birthday party for Bradley, and the boys wanted to watch football. But other than that, up until that point, I haven't watched football for years and years, since they started the. And I'm not going to get off on a rant on this because this is the Chiller Show, but when they started the kneeling during the national anthem, I just stopped. I didn't like the NFL anymore at that point. Didn't want to support it. Didn't want to give them my view. So that's just me. I don't like it. I don't like the NFL at this point, and but that's just me. Again, I don't want to. I'm not saying that to veer off into a rant here. So, but that's I didn't have any. I didn't care. I just didn't care. I only watched it because the boys wanted to watch it, and it was Brad's birthday, and he turned 20. It's weird to think about that, you know. I met the kid when he was 3. Ben Cooper products cool, Renee says. Yes, Ben Cooper. A lot of my childhood was was with Ben Cooper products. But it says, it's unbelievably weird and aggravating not being able to see anyone's comments. I gotta keep clicking off YouTube and then go back just to see what everyone's saying. Then it goes back again. That's weird. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know what to tell you. John Wayne says, Bonehead, try a different web browser or try an update. There you go. That might be a way. Renee says, Bandai and Miko Toys. Yay, yippee yay. Yeah. Bonehead says, as usual, Miss Stephanie Press, I rooted for the team that ended up losing. Brian, I felt that same way about the NFL, but it's a habit to root for the Steelers. Oh, I you know, it's weird because I finally, now get this, I finally got a job where I had Sundays off. And I was all ready, because since I was a little kid, I loved football. And I would get excited. I didn't get excited during football while I was a police officer, because I never got to watch it. But, or keep up with it, you know. And finally, I was getting a job where I would be able to watch and really, you know, I even printed out the schedule, NFL schedule for the year and all that. And then they started with that. And so I was like, I'm not supporting this. So, yeah, but I always wanted the Steelers to win. I always rooted for the Steelers. Renee says, whoa, wow, 3 turning 20. OMG, yeah, time flies. Yes, that it does. But it says, thanks, Duke. I'll try that. Thanks, Duke. Yeah. D says, Edward Herman did a good Herman Munster. He had the laugh down. I'm trying to, I think he did. Yeah, if I remember right. It's hard for me to recall that, but yeah. And then they had didn't they have the some the Munster movies like in the 80s and maybe one in the early 90s. I don't remember how many they made, but they did at least one where they didn't have the original cast. So I believe. I didn't watch them, that's why I don't remember it all that well. I just vaguely remember something about that. So Stephanie says, OMG, my mom's a Steelers fan. I used to live in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is really close to here. I mean, aside from this Jack Shadow's Dark Domain, where I reside, it's not even an hour away, you know, downtown Pittsburgh. So I mean, I used to live there for throughout almost the entire 90s. So it was a good time. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. Just a good time to be I don't know, I just always grew up watching the Pirates and the Steelers, and you know, I went to one Penguins hockey game when I would live down there, and it was a blast. I wasn't even really into hockey, you know, I didn't follow hockey at all, but I did go to a game with some of my buddies, and I had a great time there. It was just fun. It was a fun environment, you know. So Jack Black would be an interesting Dr. Frankenstein, John Wayne says. That's an interesting pick. Again, that's one I wouldn't have thought of, but yeah. Yeah, I could see that. John Wayne's, the Munsters 2022 movie, Renee says. Yep, I remember. Oh, okay, D says they made 2 movies. Munster Go Home and the Munsters Revenge. Okay. Wasn't there one of them where the cast was completely or maybe I take that back. Now maybe Al Lewis still played Granddad or Grandpa, because he would have still been around, I think. Patty Passelvan. Hey, Patty, thanks for joining us. She says, I think they only did 3 monster movies with the original cast. Okay. D says they made 2. Is that? I don't know. Maybe. Somebody's got to Google this, or maybe you have. Munsters Go Home and the Munsters Revenge. And Bonin says, Miss Stephanie Press. I'm a Steelers fan by birth. I was born in Pittsburgh, PA. Still the #1 city to me. I did enjoy Pittsburgh. I loved living down there. It was nice. Buck Williams says, I tried to make the dragon in the stairs from the Munsters in AI today. Couldn't get it right. Is that right? Wow. That's cool that we're actually talking about, like, our theme tonight is Frankenstein. So that's cool. The Munsters was brought up quite early in the show. That's pretty neat. Jeff says, sorry to spoil the party, but I grew up in the 70s basically worshiping the Oakland Raiders. Okay, all right. Hey, if that's your team, that's your team. Got to stick with your team. All right, Richard says, Lady Frankenstein. Count, totally different but cool. Ah, Lady Frankenstein, yeah. That's a good one. Renee says the Munsters Revenge movie, 1981. Going back, yeah, okay, cool. 1981, boy, it seems so long ago. Well, it was, I guess. Why am I saying seems? Lady Frankenstein. That was, I really enjoyed that movie. We played that not too long ago in Chiller Night Theater. By the way, folks, if you do want to keep watching Chiller Night Theater, I keep this up here, streammedia.tv, because Stream TV still plays Chiller Night Theater. Every Saturday night they play a 9 o'clock movie, and then they play one right after that. So, and they stagger them or kind of do the one where this week's feature movie of the week at 9 o'clock will be next week's second movie. So they just like kind of rotate the movies like we were doing. So very cool. I appreciate Stream TV doing that, continuing with Chiller Night Theater. And I don't know what the movie's going to be this Saturday. Otherwise, I'd put that up. But I don't know what it is until Saturday when I check. Then I like to post. But yeah, keep watching Chiller Night Theater. If you want to keep watching Chiller Night Theater and Stream TV, Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at streammedia.tv. Al says the movies you're thinking of is Here Comes the Munsters and the Munsters' Scary Little Christmas, Brian. Oh. Is that right? Are those the ones that I'm trying to think. Is that, and now, or did they have the original cast? Patty says Rob Zombie also made a Munsters movie. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit ago. Now, did you enjoy the Rob Zombie movie? A lot of comments here are of folks that didn't too much care for it. Stephanie says, I read the book, The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. Ooh, that sounds cool. I haven't read that, but I know you're in your book club and you do a lot of reading. I used to do a ton of reading. But then after about halfway into my career as a police officer, I just stopped. I just didn't stick with it. But I used to read avidly. Bennett says, Jeff, Steelers Raiders in the 70s was a great rivalry. Tough, hard-played games. Munsters Merry Movie, Renee says. John Wayne says, I've never seen a football or baseball game. Unfortunately, they don't show them here in Germany. What? Really? Oh. Maybe you can, well, I was going to say, maybe you can catch them on YouTube. They probably wouldn't have. You probably would have to, subscribe to a certain streaming service to be able to go back into the archives to watch the old games. I'm guessing. I would imagine that they're not available on YouTube. I'm only guessing. Patty says Rocky Horror had a made monster too. Rocky Horror? Yeah, okay. Sue says hello. Hey Sue, thanks for joining us. Our theme tonight is the Frankenstein monster. So, interesting ideas. One of the questions, I believe, from Richard was, if you could choose an actor, a modern day actor, to play the Frankenstein monster, which actor would you pick? And I picked, one of our viewers picked Daniel Craig. One picked Jack Black to play the Dr. Frankenstein, which was an interesting choice. And I picked, again, I'd have to look it back up, but I don't know the actor's name. I'm just visualizing him. The guy who played on AMC's Hell on Wheels, it was a Western series. I watched it, but I don't remember his name. He played a character on there called the Swede. And if you look that up, I showed his picture a little bit ago, but man, I think that guy would be perfect for that role as the monster. Just a really, really cool actor. Richard says, I'll double up this weekend. UFC pay-per-view and Chiller Ishtar? Let's see. Let me scroll ahead there to get caught up. I'm pretty far behind. Renee says, caught Bryan. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah. Took an early retirement to do what I'm doing now. Jeff says, I love Lady Frankenstein for multiple reasons. Yeah. Think of a few. John says, which actress would you take as Frankenstein's bride today? Ooh, which actress? Oh my gosh. That's a tough one. Richard says, UFC pay-per-view and Chiller Night Theater this Saturday. Renee says, Police Officer Hogue. Yeah. Yep. That was me. Renee says, what was your rank in the police? Well, mine was patrolman. Mine was patrolman. I was, then we had patrolman, lieutenant, and then chief. There wasn't a whole lot of, I was second in charge. There was a lieutenant, and then I was a shift supervisor, but, I think back in the day they used to have actual sergeants there, but they didn't have them in our department. And of course we had a detective. Renee says, how many cops in the station and on the streets and the road on any given day? Not that many, probably in the in the station you had the chief, detective, and then you'd have like maybe 3 out on patrol, maybe two or three. You always had to at least have 2 on any given day, at any given time. So Renee says, that Wolfman call was Bizarro Land on Crazy Pills. What? Oh my gosh, we are at the end of the, I gotta put this up here. I gotta, hey, if you are in the area in Northwest Pennsylvania, go to the Cranberry Mall in Venango County, Pennsylvania, not the one by Pittsburgh, down in Allegheny County. Go to the Venango County Cranberry Mall and visit Chiller Night Escape Experience, my horror-themed escape room store, where you can book Zombie Outbreak Escape Room. You can even, in October, go to Jack Shadow's House of Terror. And soon, by the end of March, we should be having the Witching Hour open to the public. But Zombie Outbreak, by the way, we had 3 groups go through Saturday, and all of them were zombie treats. So it's not easy. It's like a medium. Like there's probably like a 70. Last time I checked, it was like a 70% success rate. So Like I said, not really difficult, not real easy, somewhere in between. Stephanie says, Sebastian Stan as the Frankenstein monster because, well, has anybody seen The Winter Soldier? Right. Patty says, I can't remember his name, but the actor who played Vincent in the original Beauty and the Beast and Hellboy. Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name. For Frankenstein. Yeah, I can't think of that guy's name. I know who you're talking about, though. Renee says, thank you for the awesome live horror show. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for joining me and making it awesome. But it says, John Wayne, I'd love to see Kate McKinnon do a spoof of Frankenstein's Bride. She'd be a scream, funny lady. I can't say I know who that is off the top of my head. Oh, Renee says I was referring to your police call on a werewolf. Oh, that's right. I did tell that story last week, didn't I? Yeah. I didn't get any Frankenstein monster calls, so that I can say. Renee says zombie apocalypse. Woo! Let's see. The Red live show was epic. Help my lousy depression. Hey, that's what we're here for. At least a good hour of the week. Anyways, we can take your mind off of all the nonsense that's going on out there, and there is a lot. Patty says in between would be challenging. Oh, sorry, I missed something there, Patty. Doug says hello and goodbye. Hey, Doug. Speaking of my old police days. Yes. Doug back in the day. Back in his judge days. Let's see. Renee says, don't know, I'll call in work sick tomorrow. Well, you might have to. Take care of yourself. Renee says, fight the good fight. Yes, always fight the good fight. Fight if you're right. Because if you're not right, you're the bad guy. Bonehead says, thanks to the Chillinite crew and Brian for another great show. Ah, thank you, Bonehead. Al says, yes, Ron Perlman, that's it, would make a great Frankenstein monster. Okay. Stephanie says, happy Valentine's Day. Oh, that's right. I did mention that earlier. I forgot. I was thinking Frankenstein. Yes, to you guys as well. Keep having fun, y'all. Yes, good advice, Renee. Doug says, don't make me feel too old. I know. I know. It's crazy. It's 8:50. I got 2 minutes. Don't rush me. Don't rush me, folks. No, but yeah, I've been going there for now, it's over 8 years. It was 8 years in November. So, yeah, and that just, that surprises me how quickly time goes. So, it's amazing. Patty says, this show helps me get through a Tuesday. In between equals challenging us about your escape rooms. Oh, okay. Yeah. I did some really good work there last night. I was very happy with how much I got done working on the Witching Hour. John Wayne says, speaking of zombies, that didn't sound like John Wayne. One way. Speaking of zombies, how is Joe Biden's mental state? I'm not touching that one, John Wayne. Renee says, Hellboy. Renee says, Valentine and Ash Wednesday. That's right, you did mention that. Great live show time. Loved it. Thank you, Renee. Doug says, 12 for me, but I was a young retiree. Yes. 12 years. That's it really? Yeah. I didn't realize you left your position there. That would have been 4 years before I left. I didn't, again, the time just like that. Maybe I would have maybe guessed a year or two. I wouldn't have guessed 4 years. Wow, that's amazing. John Wayne says, we have to do a longer show one day. See you next week. Stay healthy and don't watch too much Manos. Yeah, and good advice for you too, Paul, if you watch this later. Listen to what John Wayne says. Stay safe, y'all, Patty says. Bonus says, to quote the immortal Dave Allen, good night. Thank you, and may your God go with you. See you next week. Thanks all. I watch Dave Allen all the time. Yep. Always had his drink and his cigarette. Brian Ivers says, John Fetterman would be a great Frankenstein. Renee says, Chiller Tuesday taco was grand today. Thank you. Yes. Al says, good night, everyone. All right, it is 9 o'clock. So, thank you, everybody, for joining me and each other for another episode of Chiller Night Live. Have a good night. Have a good chiller night. We'll see you next week. And happy Valentine's Day. See ya.